What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NBA Hardwood show over here at Run Pure Sports. Hit the like button if you enjoy this free video here that me and my guy Big T are about to talk some NBA two-game action for tonight's DFS slate here. And we'll talk some betting as well. And I will just say right off the bat, I'm getting yelled at by this fucking guy. I mean, he says I'm the boss, but he's out there. He's yelling at me to start the show after he was 5 minutes late, 6 minutes late.
2.
I was sitting in the waiting room just waiting on this guy. This is 2 days in a row. You've kept me waiting. And I will just say it's bullshit. All right. If you're the boss, get your shit together.
Fair. I mean, that's fair. I was 2 minutes late, not 5. Yesterday, I was longer. I was about 10 minutes late yesterday. Today, I was actually around. I couldn't find his hat. But yeah, fair. What was my fault? We were late. But then you were ready to talk another 15 minutes. And then you were going to tell it again when we start the show. So I was going to have to hear your take twice in a row.
Oh,
and I don't want to hear it twice in a row. I want to hear it once. So I told you to roll the tape. And now you're talking on mute like a donkey, or I can't hear you, whatever you're doing.
I was not talking. I didn't know you were actually finished. So that was a rookie part on my job, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I must have been really late if Travis is watching live. If Travis is on live, I take the blame. I got us late. If Travis is live, that's my fault. He's caught up with us.
I mean, it's late enough where he is, where maybe he watches the 4:45 live. I mean, I don't. Normally, it's baseball.
He's gonna think it sounds weird when he only listens on normal speed and not 2x. He's gonna be like, "Why do they sound so weird? Why are they talking so slow?"
Well, now we can actually comment after we give takes in real time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're not seeing his takes fucking 20 minutes later, and we're already past what we're talking about here. Like when we talk about the Knicks and the Pacers, we'll actually get Travis's real takes, live and, on time here. But, yeah, I mean, Tony, I'm just going to say it right off the bat. I forget what we were talking about in the backs, but you loved hearing my takes twice. Stop acting like you don't love hearing my voice and hearing me give the same take multiple times. I mean, that's
3 times because we're always on the phone each day too. So then I hear the same take 3 times.
True. It is true. Yeah, we'll talk on the phone, and then I'll say it before we go on, and then we'll say it again. It's a process, Tony. It's a process we have.
I do enjoy the process, though. That's what I love about the playoffs. We talk about it. We listen to the LeBron, JJ Redick. We talk about that. We watch the games. It's what we do. We like the hoops. We like the playoffs. I do enjoy that part of the process. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it is fun. If you haven't checked out the LeBron, JJ Redick podcast, I would just highly recommend if you are into hoops at all, like we are, definitely something that you would be interested in. It's a great listen. I think there's 7 episodes in, if I remember correctly.
I think they're doing it once or twice a week, but 7 so far.
Yeah, and
this
it's
one
good.
Was the best one, though. I still like when they talk about some of the current stuff, like what's going on. And don't get me wrong, I like the other ones too a lot, but I really like this one where they broke down some of the stuff we're watching.
It's got to be hard, Tony, when you're in season LeBron and he's got to
I mean, he's not going to go all out until he's done.
But when he's not playing and there's still games going on, that's when you can actually hear what he has to say about these teams, how he would guard Rudy Gobert and what he would do and other things he was talking about. It's just interesting. It's interesting to hear someone.
3.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear someone so high.
3 dummies.
Yeah, well, that's Tony's biggest pet peeve. Ever since I've known Tony, he's always said this thing.
From 15 years before you knew me, that was my biggest thing. It's tilted me for 25 years now.
Well, I'm sure you did it if you were ever in that situation, as a player. You just knew to do it because it drove you insane.
It's one of those things I just literally can't comprehend the other side. And then everyone that argues that, and I don't know why we're talking about this now. It's because we love basketball, but when all the stubborn coaches that don't want to do that are always like, well, if you play good defense, then it doesn't matter. And it just drives me nuts when they freaking say that. We're trusting our defense. Even if you do, we've watched 10,000, 100,000 basketball games in our life, however many it is. I've seen less than 10 lose by fouling. I've seen hundreds upon thousands lose when you don't foul.
The only thing that I could even comprehend is like somehow you have a basketball team that is just all terrible free throw shooters. But this is the NBA. Like in the NBA, like
Even more so in the NBA, exactly.
in the
And JJ
NBA,
Redick said it on there. He's like, we can finish with Chris Paul, Jamal Crawford, and myself, and we like our chances when we got those three in there.
I'm gonna say it right here, Tony. I feel like almost every team has 2 or 3 pretty good free throw shooters. Like I'll say
And you
that.
just
Like
get them the ball and
you
let
get
them
them the
make free
ball.
throws. And even if that is the story, though, and just say you missed the free throws and something, you still need like multiple things to happen, 2, 3, 4 things to happen. Whereas you need one thing to happen the other way. They need to make the three.
They still need to make their free throws, right, Tony? They still have to, have like timeouts and all that stuff, like to advance the ball if there's not a lot of time on the clock.
That's
like,
another thing non-NBA where the NBA, we said the free throw shooting, they get to advance it, but college, high school, you don't even get to advance it. There's even more reason to foul.
Yeah, it just I'm with you. I don't comprehend. I brought up the podcast though because I did think there was something said that was like relevant to one of the slates or relevant to like the Knicks and some of these other teams like Minnesota and stuff like that, where like LeBron talked about not just why certain teams are really good defensively like Minnesota, and he talked about length and just having all these guys with a ton of length. But he also talked about the fact that like you need guys that are just at a certain point willing. Like when you get to a certain level, yes, it's buying into what the coaches have defensively, but when you get to a certain level, it's the willingness for everyone to just get down and play defense. And that was one thing he talked about that I thought was interesting. It's not just the length or the schemes. It's just everyone buying in, like everyone's willing to just get down and try as hard as they fucking can. And I think you have certain teams that do that. And those are the teams right now that are having success in the playoffs, i.e. Minnesota, the Knicks, a couple teams. OKC's been really, really good too. We'll get into that team. Tony, that team's a bunch of dogs though. Like I really thought that this wasn't the year. And I have a ticket from before the season when I was looking and I'm like, what is one team before this season that I can bet that's got like a long shot, but a team that I really like and think, it's crazy, but like maybe they can get there. I think OKC was like 60 or 70 to 1 to win the title preseason or something like that. And I'm pretty sure I posted it in the Discord. And so I still have that ticket, but I really didn't think this was a year they were like a legit contender. I bet that for fun, right, Tony? Like I wanted a fun bet to sweat out. That was a long shot odd. I might be wrong. Like I might be wrong about that team too. They might be ready now. Like I don't know. Like maybe I'm just reacting too much to game one, but I'm less reacting to Dallas. I'm more reacting to that team in general. Like from their bench to their starters, like all those guys, maybe they are more of a complete team than I thought that they would be going into the playoffs. So my question to you is, do you think they have a legitimate shot to get to the championship and win a championship?
I mean, now we're so deep in the playoffs that they have to. I mean, they're up 1 and there's not any teams left. So I feel like the playoffs have been just me taking L after L after L after L. But I'm not scared to do that. It's what I do. I come on, I give takes. I've been right a lot of times. I've been wrong a lot of times. This playoffs has not been great for me. The last 2 days have been pretty good for me as far as takes. But yeah, I thought the Thunder were too soon. I thought they were young. I thought they were awesome in the regular season. I thought they're going to be amazing in the future with all the draft picks and the 3 stars. I love the team. I said that all year. I love the team. So I don't hate the Thunder. That's not true. I thought they were too soon, though. I definitely didn't think they could win this year. That's for sure.
We both agreed that they felt like the regular season team that wasn't going to get up for the postseason and be one of those teams. I just didn't think
they were even capable, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they would get overwhelmed a little bit in the playoffs.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I thought Minnesota too. So Minnesota's 6-0 in the playoffs, including 2 demolitions of my Nuggets, who I thought were the top team. OKC's 5-0, and I picked against them most of the games. Although in game 1, I was a little uncertain game 1, but they've looked incredible. And yeah, and now they got Dallas with Luka. Looks like he's injured to me as we kind of lead into tonight's game. And one of the things that I think is going to be very interesting, and we've talked a lot, is Minnesota's D, which you love, I love, everyone loves, and OKC's offense, which lives at the foul line. I am like super interested to see how you officiate that series, because I never blame the refs for anything. How the refs officiate that series will be who wins that series. If they let Minnesota play, if Minnesota's allowed to do what they're doing to Denver, OKC will be drawing stone cold dead in that series. But if they foul and they let the fouls go, Minnesota might be drawing just as thin as the other way. So I think they're both super live, but I don't think Dallas is dead yet. The one issue is Luka to me. He just looks hurt, and he's always looked hurt, but he really looks hurt right now. And I don't know if they can overcome that.
Yeah, so. I mean, you brought up what I was going to ask you next, because and you answered it, which was, do you think Luka's hurt? Like actually hurt? He always goes down, and he
always looks hurt.
He always looks hurt, but like this is different to me, Tony. Or maybe it's just the intensity of the playoffs is different.
I think he's hurt, because I don't
That's
think
what
the
I
intensity.
think.
I mean, he's the type of player that never really. I don't think he gets shook by that kind of stuff. I think and with him, he doesn't have as much mobility as even some of these guys. Like, he needs to be fully healthy. Like, he can't. He's slow already, so he can't.
This is crazy. This is crazy, but I actually think he's actually slower than usual, and that's crazy to say, because I kind of agree with what Tony was about to say, which is he's already fucking slow as hell. Like, he can't go much slower.
It's but like when his first step, though. I was always a slow player, obviously. I'm similar build in my own way to that. But my first step was always very good, like kind of similar to Luka in its own way, in its high school, college way.
Speed and first step quickness are 2 totally different things.
Totally, and that's what basketball is all about. First step quickness. He doesn't have that as much anymore either right now. So
if you want a perfect example is go watch James Harden in his prime, and then go watch him now. You'll see
that's a great example from you too, because he's another guy that's slow, but his first step is insanely good. And that's all that matters in basketball. Because if you can change speeds, and it's what I teach my son, who's freaking 9. If you can change speeds, that's more important than anything. Who cares if you can sprint side to side this way? It doesn't matter.
It's why actual speed in basketball never really matters.
I'd like to point out, man, going 21-0.
Just compared himself to Luke.
21-0. There you go.
I didn't even. That went right over my head that he did that, man. Going. That is actually kind of funny.
No, I said in the high school college version.
Oh, the high school college version. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you did play college, so you can. It's fine. You can say high school college version. I think you were skinnier than Luka too, to be honest with you. So you were you look pretty lean in the high school college version of Big T. I'll just say that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say, which is like Luka to me, he just looks really banged up. And Kyrie, for some reason, Tony, I feel like whenever I watch him play, he needs to like be down in order to be like, okay, I'm going to be Kyrie and I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to like score a bunch of points. Like it feels like to me when they get like a little lead, he gets like comfortable and he doesn't be as aggressive and as assertive, especially when Luka's out there. Right now, I would want him to be as aggressive and assertive as possible. I just don't know if Luka will actually allow that to happen. But do you notice that at all? Because that's another thing I've noticed, that like it feels to me like Kyrie could be doing more early in games and he's just not.
Yeah, I think it's been their game plan, honestly. I think they want Luka to do more, getting them going, creating, doing stuff like that. In the second half, let Kyrie turn it on. And I'm glad you brought it up because it has a lot of relevance for me tonight. Because if Luka's truly hurt, like it looks like, and honestly, I've loved Kyrie from the time I said I still would go all the way back to when I'm like, he's closer to Steph Curry than people thought. And
Dude,
people
your
laughed at
two
me.
favorite players besides Jokic are LeBron and Kyrie Irving.
I love
There
Kyrie.
is no one else. You literally love Jokic, LeBron, and Kyrie Irving. Those are your three favorite players.
Yeah. And I do hate Kyrie's shit he says off the court, and LeBron a little bit too. But that we're talking strictly basketball on this show. I mean, Kyrie's just, and he's looked amazing in this series to me. And so I wasn't on him game one. I think Luka's hurt. So I think Kyrie tonight, amazing spot to really get it going tonight. Because I don't think they can guard him with the way he's playing. So I've been on Luka. I think I'm a little less on Luka tonight, and I'm big time on Kyrie tonight to have a monster game.
Yeah, all it is for Kyrie literally is he going to play 2 full halves of aggressive offensive basketball? Like, is he going to be aggressive from the jump? We don't see that. I agree with you though. If there was a spot to maybe jump on him,
flip side
Luka
too,
being injured.
Say Luka is hurt and Dort's been guarding Luka a lot. Do they mess around and flip that and put Dort on Kyrie?
No way. Even if a team thinks that, like, Luka's still.
I was going to say though,
there,
because it turns into a little bit of an Aaron Gordon situation its own way too, where Dort might be too slow for Kyrie. He's more of a better matchup with Luka because Luka's slow and he matches up good with him.
Yeah, I definitely think that. And guys like Lou Dort, they kind of want the slower type guy who's going to bang with them a little bit. Kyrie's not that. Kyrie's going to dance on you. You know, he's going to put a move on you, try and make you look silly, leave you in the dust. Whereas Luka's going to do that a little bit, but it's still like different than Kyrie, right? There's a difference to it. And I don't think they switch that up. I mean, they won game one, Tony. Why would you change it up? Like, unless you see the man's actually hurt and leaving the floor, like, I don't think you change up the game plan. The game plan will change when they lose, I think, for, you know, if it's tonight or whenever, that's when maybe they flip a game plan, but I don't think they flip it here. So, all right. We kind of started with talking about the late game, Tony. I don't know if you want to like keep going in on it, or do you want to like
polish this puppy up?
All right, so let's do that. So right now, we talked about Luka. I think we're both in line with fading or being lower on him on a 2-game slate. Like, I know you 150. Would you fade him in 150, or are you just going to be like under the field?
You can't fade Luka in 150, even if I think he's hurt, because honestly, I think he was in the winner showdown. He was definitely in the winner the other night, even though he was terrible. And I think even I don't know main slate, so don't hold me to that. But point being was he was terrible. He still had a chance to be in the winner. You're just never fading Luka. What I'm going to do with Luka is more than likely, let me see what we got him projected. I mean, 63. I honestly think it's fine in there. Maybe I go to 60 or something. I'm still leaving him way up there. I just want less, and that's the good thing about using SaberSim. It's going to give you less anyways. When you give him 60 and I give Kyrie 45 or something, and plus when we get to some of the other guys, it's going to boost them up too. So I'm just naturally going to get left, but I'm never fading a guy like Luka, because even if he's hurt, I mean, he could shoot 20 free throws tonight or something. He could do so much. He's freaking Luka. So I'm never fading him. But yes, I do want to be lower. And honestly, I want to talk more about like playing 1 or 3 teams versus 150. 1 or 3 teams, I'm probably definitely fading him. But in my 150, I mean, maybe I want, it says 35% flagship. I don't know. It's probably close to accurate. I want like 20% Luka. So maybe half the field is where I want to be. Assuming that's what it comes up. But again, of course, Fallick comes in, Luka's smashing. Fallick always comes in after we have a take, always on the other side, every single time.
If I didn't know Fallick, I would think it was on purpose, but I know him, so I know it's not on purpose. It's like clockwork. It's literally like clockwork. We're like Luka, fade, Fallick, Luka, lock. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
This is how it works.
Oh.
So the best play though, again, Tony, on this team is I think Dan Gafford. Like we said it, the first game, he goes out there and smashes. They bumped
More
his
than
price tag.
smashes, just like full
Yeah.
blown. And I've taken so many L's, so I got to enjoy one of the good takes because all in on it. I mean, just full smash. He's blocking like every shot in sight. He's grabbing every rebound. The matchup is just insane for him, and he's only 4,900. So
And it's great because you know what? Those blocks, those are going to be there in this series because OKC is not going to stop attacking. Like that's what they do. Like that's their game. You know what I mean? Those guys, Jalen Williams and SGA, like they're going to keep attacking the rim. They're not going to be afraid because Dan Gafford blocked them once or twice. They're going to keep attacking, trying to draw fouls, trying to get to the cup. So that's good for a shot blocker like Dan Gafford. You know what I mean? And Chet's going to challenge him, you know what I mean, down there a little bit too. So you want that, honestly, for guys that are shot blockers. It's just literally a perfect matchup for someone like Dan Gafford. So I think, again, we like the rule of, he was the best play, but him or Lively, I could do that again. Like I think Gafford probably smashes again. But Lively was terrible last game. Like he could have played more. He was awful though. Like he played really, really bad. That could flip. I mean, today could be the Lively game where he plays good and Dan Gafford plays bad. You know what I mean? You kind of never know. And then there's like the injury thing. Like you don't know exactly what happens. But I want one of those guys, Tony. And Dan Gafford's obviously the best play, like we said last slate. But I'm going to make a rule again. I want one of those two guys on all my teams, and I'll roll with it. It's just the perfect spot for a big like those guys are against this team. My issue with Lively more is like he's so raw and he's just so unpredictable, but that's why for tournaments, he's a good pivot.
Look, well, you just said it. And look, we got 44%, which I think could be even higher, especially in the higher stuff.
It should be higher. Honestly.
4% for Lively. I mean, that's showing you how good of a play Lively is. And is he way? I mean, he is way more. And if Gafford plays well, Lively's not going to even get a chance really to crush. But all it's going to take, which happened last game, fouls everywhere on OKC. Gafford gets in foul trouble. Lively could easily smash. And that's just a great example of leverage where it's just such a good spot. Gafford,
and the whistle that OKC gets, if they get that whistle, it could easily be Dan Gafford who's getting in foul trouble.
Easily. I agree with Run Like too. I still think at these prices you can play both. Lively was terrible last game. It honestly hurt me a little bit having both of them, but he was so terrible. And it's the matchup. The matchup is so good that
my issue with that strategy, and I said it to you, and I know you disagree with it, but you just kill one of their upside. Like you lose that ceiling upside, and I know you don't need the ceiling upside. We were talking
showdown on that one though too.
Yeah. Okay, but either way, you lose that ceiling upside performance of like when I pivot from Lively at 4%, from the Daniel Gafford 44% ownership or whatever it turns out to be. I want Daniel Gafford to bust, and I want Lively to drop 35. You know what I mean? I want them to literally flip from last game. So, yeah, could they both get in the 20s and be good? Yes. Could they both be optimal? I don't know, Tony. Maybe because it's a 2-game slate, maybe.
A 2-game
and that's
slate.
Your point.
It's a 2-game slate, and the other game is Boston. So,
yeah.
I mean, Boston could win any game by like 40, and it's when you got a 2-game slate in Boston, I think everything's on the table. Like literally, you could have some super weird team because what happens? We still haven't seen a slate where both games blow out, where it's like just total scrub run both ways, different stuff. I hate these Boston freaking. That's another reason I wanted you to stick with this game for a minute because I hate those Boston games.
So we talked about the centers. We talked about Kyrie and being higher on Kyrie. We both agree there. Lower on Luka. We didn't talk about Derrick Jones Jr., who I didn't like last game. I'm going to continue not to like him at this price tag. I just rather play those bigs at a similar price tag. PJ Washington, who's given us nothing in the playoffs,
He picks
literally
up the
nothing.
stupidest fouls in the world, and he had 2 or 3 last game, I can't remember. And when he fouled the dude running down fast break, he just lowers his shoulder and runs through him, even when he's got foul trouble already. I'm like, you're allowed to give up a fast break layup when you're in foul trouble, dude. You don't. It's the NBA. You're going to score 100 points. Like, you can give up a bucket to save a foul. Like, what are we doing?
I've never understood this. I've seen stars even do that shit where I'm just like, are they thinking? Like, do they just forget that they have,
I just think they
3
don't. They're
fouls
just
or
not
2?
smart basketball players. It's just stupid basketball.
Yeah. I mean,
And he's killing me the most because if he stays on the court, I mean, last game he was awful. He played 26
awful.
minutes and he had 20 fantasy points, which obviously 20 fantasy points isn't good. But I mean, he's 5,600 and he was literally horrendous and he got 20. I mean, that tells me that he has a bunch of upside in a game. He just has to stay on the court.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to show. I think he's gonna have to show it to me. To be honest with you,
And I don't blame you one bit.
the
Sometimes
guy,
you just get uphill on plays, and I've just have been on him the whole playoffs, and he just keeps crushing me to where it's like I just feel like I'm swimming upstream, and I'm just scared to get off because I know
this
he's
is
got a game coming.
this is DFS mindset, though. You know what I mean? Because if he goes nuts tonight and you don't play him, you're gonna be so mad at yourself
Yeah,
because you're gonna say to yourself, "I've been on this dude all fucking playoffs. He's killed me every single game, and he finally goes nuke, and I didn't play him at all." And you're gonna be so pissed at yourself.
yeah.
But this is that mindset theory where you either just got to say, I'm playing this dude no matter what, and he's eventually going to get there because I trust what I'm seeing, which is like I see upside for him if he can stay on the floor. Or it's like, I don't give a shit. If he goes off, I'm moving on. And you're at the point where it's like, I can't do that.
Peter, why do you people I'm curious, legitimate. Why do you think you can play everyone when you play 150? Have you ever tried it, Peter, or do you just say that? I'm curious why you think you can just play everybody. I don't get that, I guess.
Well, you can play everyone. That doesn't mean you're going to win.
Yeah, I guess
Too,
that's
on
2
top of it.
separate points where like, yeah, you can click everybody's day, but it's a matter of percentages and stuff. Like, it's just whatever.
It's still, are you over the field on guys? Are you under
Yeah.
the field on guys? It's still a lot of that for even the
Way more
people that play
strategy, and me
150.
and JSU both are single entry guys at heart. Somehow I'm in
Yeah.
like the 150 bucket now, but that's not me to my core. That's just me trying to be the best DFS player I can be because I know that's the way it's shifted to, and I want to be good at it. But me to my core is a single entry player. I love building my best team. I love talking about my best team, and I play one team every day, even when I play 150.
Yeah, and it's still like the main team. We
Yeah,
do a lot of the content, the
it's the
core
team I
plays.
root on.
The core plays is still based off the main team, which is like the team you have the highest amount, or at least like my main team is the team I would have like the highest amount of money
Yeah,
allocated to, right? Even if I played 3 teams, right? There's one team that has the most to it that I'm rooting on, right? And then you have your secondary team and stuff like that.
yeah,
Even if Tony 150s, I know he plays a main team that he puts in
always.
everything or in most of the contests, that he plays. So
Yeah.
that's the idea. It's harder than you think. And I'll tell you right now, as someone who does not like 150ing, and Tony knows this, I hate it. I like even when I win and Tony's like, come on, you like play 150 tonight and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with the money. I just don't like it as much. Like I like the theory of building 1 to 3 teams and take like fading people and being a little harder on my stance because I feel like I play better that way. I literally feel like when I get 150, I feel like I spread myself out too much in my head and it throws me all off. So it's more a mindset thing for me than anything, Tony. Whereas I feel like it hurts my main team when I 150 because I play it differently, right? Because when you 150 and you play a main team, you're playing very different.
Yeah, I mean, I've always just done it, me personally, in every sport. I do my 150 a certain way, and then I still just build my main team exactly how I would build it only if I was playing one team. So I think I do it different than some people do, but that's just me. That's how I like basically play both ways the same night. I do it in baseball too, even where I build my one team, and it might be totally different than my 150. Honestly, it's just it's the way it works out sometimes.
Yeah,
But I get it for
Alex,
sure.
Alex, you might be the only one asking us this in the chat, but I will answer it to Tony's dismay because he loves
Especially in
NFL
May, like
basketball.
if it's July, but I
Let
mean
me
in
tell you
May.
right now, guys, if you want best ball takes, you hit up Big
Oh,
T44 DFS at Big T44
oh,
DFS. Don't be afraid to shoot him a lineup, send him your team. He loves
oh.
doing that like commentary lineup, after you draft, send
Show
it
me
to
who you
him.
got in the 4th round and ask if it was a good pick. Yeah.
He'll give you a letter grade, right, Tony? Like they've gone away from letter grades, I guess, in school and stuff like that. Now you get a 1 or a 5 or some bullshit. But
No, they still have letter grades, but
do
yeah.
they still have letter?
Yeah. I mean,
I've
some
heard from
schools might not, but
I've
most
heard from multiple teachers. I got a ton of teachers that go
probably
to my
in
gym.
Mass. I believe it in
Yeah,
Mass.
in mass, they do the
I
1 to
believe
5
that.
thing. They do the 1 to 5 thing. So, but yeah, you can get an actual letter grade, F to A or A to F, whatever you want, and Tony will rank it for you. So send him the message at Big T44. But to answer your question, once the schedule gets released, that's when I'll start firing them up. I don't want to start drafting until I see an actual schedule because it does play a part in the best ball drafts. But I will be firing again this year and 150 in those big the $20 for DraftKings and probably one of the other sites like Underdogs, $25, something like that. I'll probably uh MME. So yeah, if you got a best ball question, we do have a chat in the Discord. You can hit us up in there if you got any questions for best ball or any other sport. Pretty much we got over at Rumpier Sports. RPS 15 is the promo code for 15% off your first month or week payment over at Rumpier Sports. And we got single sport packages as well that you guys can check out along with the main all sports one price package. So check it out over there. RPS 15 is your promo code. All right, Tony, to polish this off, we were touching on like the Josh Green, Tim Hardaway's, which we liked Josh Green last time out. The one thing I will say about Josh Green is OKC is totally fine with leaving that dude on an island. They literally said last game, Josh Green, you're going to have to shoot your way to a victory because we are going to give you every three possible. And he made a lot of them too. I'll give him some credit. Like he made a bunch of threes. I think he took like 8 of them, which has to be the most threes he's taken all year, probably in a
And they were
game.
all wide open.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like gift,
Yeah.
they laid the carpet out. They said, please, sir,
Like
just
I would
take this
trust
shot.
myself to go. What did he go 3 for 8? I'm very
3 for 8.
confident in this outfit and my hat. I could have sat there and made 3 for 8 of his shots.
And
I
bro,
compared
honestly,
myself to another NBA guy, Travis.
the fact that he went 3 for 8, I'm even kind of stunned because I watched that whole game. I felt like he made more than
I
3.
do too. When I looked, I swear I thought it was gonna say 4 for 6 or something, and it said 3 for 8.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Like literally, I
I don't
thought it
even
was in the
remember
4 or
him really
5.
missing open ones, so I must have just saw the good ones from him or something.
Yeah, it just felt like they all went in, I guess, right, Tony, to like
But
the eye.
the nice part is exactly what you just said, though. I mean, he's 3,200 again, and they give him wide open
3,200.
shots, so he has to be in play. He has to be. So that's one of the easier ones for me, just to pop him at like 15, and I am totally fine getting as much Josh Green as you want to give me.
Yeah, Tim Hardaway was the other guy I wanted to discuss
He was
because
so bad.
he was awful, like really bad. Like we talked about Derek Lively being bad, he was worse. Like he was
Because the shots he was taking were
yeah, well,
horrendous shots.
and what's funny is they needed someone to make shots, so they were trying like
They might
okay,
have told
Tim,
him to do that. Just go in and shot.
yeah,
They might have done that.
yeah, they might have, and don't be shocked if he does it again. Like when he's out
If he
there,
does it
he's gonna
again, he's a
chuck.
great play tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does. I think they're going to be searching Tony. They're letting these
So what do you
dudes like
project
Josh
him for?
Green.
Where do you put him?
Well, I got to put Josh Green ahead of him, so he's behind Josh Green
If
in
you think
my.
Tim Hardaway chucks, you're still putting Josh Green ahead of him?
Yes, because I don't think he makes them. I think he's off. Like I just think he's off. He came back from that injury. He just looks off to me. Like I don't know. The fact that they play Josh Green ahead of him, like
It's an interesting to go with our Luka Hurt build though, because if he's actually a little passive and you play Kyrie and Hardaway and Josh Green, you got some chuckers in there, man. You got some upside between those guys. You got some absolute chuckers.
check chat for JSU spelling. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Am I missing something in chat? I can't spell, so I don't know what you making fun of me because I can't spell,
Did you
Tony.
type something? I didn't even see you type anything.
I mean, I don't think I did. Did I?
I don't know.
Maybe a while ago. I don't know.
And I don't want to. God, I shouldn't even say this because I hate bringing you down a rabbit hole, and I always do it.
Do it.
This thing that God, who was it? Who said the thing about the football players and basketball players?
Oh my God, you're talking about
Who actually said it? Rondo? I want to say Rondo, but
nope,
wasn't.
it was not Rondo. Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers. Yes.
Which, and we're not. I'm limiting us to 5 minutes on this at most, but is the smartest thing anyone's ever said, and people were killing him for it because I am 1,000,000% convinced way more basketball players could play football, and they use the point like there's 53 on football, there's only 12 on basketball. Use the percentages though. The percentages of basketball players would have a much easier time playing football than vice versa. And they were using guys like George Kittle and guys like that to play bass. Has anyone ever watched these guys? Who's like Puka Nacua is one of the best players in the NFL at hooping. They showed him in the celebrity game.
That Cooper DeJean or whatever you say his name, that cornerback that Philly
Cooper
drafted.
DeJean. Yeah.
He looked he looked nasty, bro. He was hooping.
And I'm not saying no one because there is some crazy athlete. Miles Garrett, I'm sure, can definitely be athletic enough to hoop. But they were using like George Kittle as an example. There's no way George Kittle could hoop. Like, not at that type of level. So that's my take, that there's way more NBA guys that can play in the NFL percentage-wise than vice versa. Go ahead. Are you on the other side of this take?
So this is interesting, and I only have under probably 3 minutes. So you limited me here. See, Boss T, obviously, when he says I'm the boss, he fucking lies through his teeth. But yeah, I was on the opposite side of you. So it's really interesting you have that take because I feel like there's way more football players that could play in the NBA than there are NBA players that could literally like line up on a football field and be able to handle. And maybe it's just a physicality, Tony, because the two sports are completely different that way. I feel like there's less basketball players that could handle, like, bro, Austin Rivers on the football field. Get the fuck out of here.
Like he was not one of the ones I'm saying could go freaking play football.
Yeah. Like LeBron James, okay, totally understand. LeBron James could go on the football field.
Anthony Edwards can go play freaking receiver. Like, I mean, there's
Anthony Edwards, 100%. But like, I don't know, like SGA, he ain't going on the football field. He'd get killed. Who else? Like, give me some other names. Like, you named LeBron and fucking Anthony Edwards, like the two most physical guys. Like, come on, give me other names.
I mean, I'd have to go down the list. I was talking the other. I mean, you can make cases for tons of guys, but
like the Knicks, I could maybe Josh Hart,
slow-mo at full. But I mean, we could make fun of both ways though. Like slow-mo.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking team by team, bro, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, come on, man. Like who?
Aaron Gordon can't go play tight end. I mean,
he might be able to. He might be able to. Towns at tight end. I don't know.
A lot of these football players, you see them actually play. It's like when you go to 24-hour fitness and you're hooping, you got all these dudes that lift weights that have no skill and they're just athletic. Like that's how and I think a lot of people could play football. Like tons of people I know that played college, like didn't even play football till the end of high school and college because there's no learning curve to it. Basketball, there's a learning curve to it where And the linemen are different. Everyone's like, well, they couldn't play up. Well, obviously, they're not going to play line. They're going to get their ass kicked. But they can play receiver and tight end. Mainly receiver and tight ends, what I'm saying. They
Yeah,
can't
like
play
the skill
quarterback. They can't
position
play
guys.
line.
The skill position guys. Like the skill position guys are where they would line up for sure. So yeah, maybe Zion running people over.
And yes, there's football players that can play. Obviously, you got these freak athletes that absolutely they could play in the NBA.
Who was the stud tight end that was a hooper?
Antonio Gates was the man.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
both.
Antonio Gates. Wasn't Tony Gonzalez a hooper too?
Tony Gonzalez was good. Like guys like that can play both.
Yeah,
Who was the Florida
dudes,
State quarterback that played for the Knicks?
Florida State quarterback played for the
That
Knicks.
was one of the most famous ever. Who was it, chat? The Florida State quarterback that played for the Knicks. Back in the Charlie Ward, Redmond. Charlie Ward was one of the best.
Yeah.
Julius Peppers was great at both.
Yeah, I really think if you go down a rabbit hole, though, I don't think
this probably goes both ways.
I don't think the numbers as far off as me and you both thought they were on opposite sides.
I guess the part that I had an issue with was guys like George Kittle. George Kittle is one of my favorites. Where's my bobblehead of George Kittle?
No, don't walk back.
In the NBA.
Don't you walk back this take and then be like, I love George Kittle, but you can't play in the NBA, motherfucker.
I do not like you, George, in basketball.
All right, fine, whatever. Cooper DeJean or whatever your name is.
Allen
You can
Iverson can hoop and play football, baby.
Yo,
I'll bring you back in. I'll bring you back in here.
AI was a fucking.
Now you're
baller.
on my side because AI.
AI as a football player. They thought he was nasty as a football player. That dude, he was quarterback too. He was quarterback running around. Like that's
we're
AI's
past 5
man.
minutes. Bring us, Joe Ruff's right. Bring us back. I didn't want to
Bring
derail us too long. Fun
Randy
conversation.
Moss could hoop too, I think. But all right, let's get back here. So that was Dallas pretty much, right, Tony? Like there's no were you high on anyone else we didn't talk about?
One of the guys I was actually surprised with was Exum. He didn't play much first series, and you're gonna. And this is total eyeball test too. I didn't think he'd play. He didn't play in the first series. He only played like 9 minutes, but I felt like they were trying some things with him, and he's yet another guy that if Luka is a little banged up, just because he's 3K, I'm not saying I even really like it, but just keep your eye on Exum as this series goes because I felt like they were kicking the tires a little bit on him in this series. So not tonight even really because these guys are so cheap, but at some point in this series, just keep your eyes on Exum just a little bit.
All right, yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's tough because he's just in a spot where it's like, where is he taking from? I guess like if PJ gets in foul trouble,
and those like green wide open threes. I mean, you said he's Reggie Miller now. I remember we argued early in the year. Reggie Miller shooting threes. So if they leave him that open, he might stroke a few for us.
Who Dante Exum? Who Dante Exum? We argued about.
We argued about midseason that he's Reggie Miller now. That he learned.
Yeah, bro, because he went through that stretch. Remember where he was like hitting everything? Don't you remember? Like
he was on fire. Argued maybe he could win a showdown slate for us or something during the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean he could. All right, let's go to the OKC side.
My favorite play, Gafford, the other night. But your favorite play, and I want to give you credit because it was a great call, was Wiggins. He was the key to that slate the other night. You talked him up on our show. You got me on him. His price was a little high. I wasn't going to play as much. And he was the reason anyone won on that slate. Him and Gafford, we nailed that slate. We took a bunch of L's. But that Wiggins call the other night was a great call. So you need to get credit for that one. And he was awesome in that game.
Yeah. So the weird thing about Aaron Wiggins, and I don't understand this about OKC, Tony, how is he the fifth guy off your bench? Like, how in the world is he? And I know Dagnall, he's a great coach, so I don't want to even sound like a question.
Look like he's got that look on his face on the sideline, like he's confused. Why does he always look confused?
Well, he ain't confused. He knows what the fuck he's doing. That guy, he's definitely a legit. I said he was an amazing coach when they were getting their asses whooped and losing a ton of games because I was like, look what he's doing with nothing. Like they're resting all their guys and they're fighting and playing hard. Like this dude's a legit coach and he's got talent on his team they're young and hungry for sure. But Aaron Wiggins was the one guy I was like, and I said it to you on the show, Tony. I'm like, he's the one guy I could see really winning more minutes than like the 15 he would normally get, right? Because all those bench guys, they normally play 15 minutes. What does he do? He doesn't play like the whole first quarter. Everyone else plays off the bench. Somehow Gordon Hayward gets up before him to come into the game. Like, but then he works his way into playing almost the whole second quarter. And the same thing with like, it was just insane to me. Like, he won minutes playing well, but he's a guy who can defend. He's long. He's somewhat athletic. If he's making threes, though, on top of all the stuff he already does well, like running the floor, transition, then he's going to play a lot in this series, Tony, because if he's going to get open threes, like in this series, he's one of those guys they're going to concede threes to in this series. And if he makes them, he's going to play more because he can already defend. So when you can already defend and you're helping on the offensive end, you know you're going to get more run, like as the season, as their series goes on. Because the one thing with Case and Wallace and some of those other guys, OKC, Isaiah Joe brings them off the bench, they're one-dimensional, meaning they're either offense or defense. If those one-dimensional guys, like they almost all have in the bench, can play both sides, they're going to win minutes. And that's the one thing that Aaron Wiggins showed. I thought the other guy who looked really good was Jalen with a Y, Williams, and he won minutes. He actually played some minutes next to Chet, Tony, which I was stunned. When Lou Dort got in foul trouble, he played some minutes next to Chet, which was interesting to me. That showed me that if he's playing well, his minutes cap may be a little higher than what we thought too. Yeah. So I think those are two guys we go right back to.
All the points too on the bench guys are what makes OKC so hard, because I rank the guys, I think the same way you kind of do with these bench guys. The problem is whoever gets it going is kind of where they go for that game. So
yeah,
I'm going to rank Wiggins, and Wiggins' price is still a decent amount higher than these guys. I like him way more, but it could just as easily tonight be Isaiah Joe or something that gets hot and steals more run, which is just frustrating full slate wise, where it's tough because say Aaron Wiggins misses a few shots tonight, he's 4K and he's got no chance to get there. And Jalen Williams with a Y was awesome last game. I love both of those guys. OKC is just genius when it comes to talent, because I don't even like Case and Wallace that much, but he's still just a solid player for like off the bench and stuff. And they're just so deep that
I mean, say what
Case and Wallace of the Knicks.
Oh, Case and Wallace is like, he's super raw. He's trying to figure out like where he fits in when they have Jalen Williams and Lou Dort and SGA and Chet Williams, and like he tries to like figure his way through. It's like Josh Giddey on offense. Like they don't really know where to be when they don't, like Josh Giddey, when he doesn't have the ball, he's just, what do I do? Like, I can't stand it. You'll see him like go to the free throw line, Tony, set a screen, but then like he just goes to the wing. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't fit on the basketball floor when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. I feel like Case and Wallace still doesn't really know what am I doing? Do I just stand in the corner? Yeah. Is that my role as an offensive player? I don't even think he knows what his role is right now. Isaiah Joe at least knows his role. Like they put him in there for Giddey immediately in that third quarter, and Giddey was benched, and he knew when he came in, dude, your role is to shoot threes, the thing that Josh Giddey's afraid to do. Like you're going to go in there. They ran action for him to get open threes, and I think he banged one or two like immediately when he came in that third quarter. That's the one good thing about Isaiah Joe, is he at least knows like when he's in there to run the floor and to shoot threes and stuff. So I prefer those type of guys that at least know their role. And like, to me, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, and Jalen Williams with a Y, those cheap guys all know their role. So I'm going to rank them as the top three guys. And Wallace would be 4. But that's just the reason why. I don't know where Wallace fits. And I don't think right now he's just a great producer from a fantasy perspective. He could be at some point. I don't think it's going to be right now that he is.
Yep.
Okay, so we're kind of in agreement there, I guess.
I mean,
Lou
the bench
Dort,
guys are literally a dice roll for me. I mean, I probably rank them similar. I like Wiggins the best. It's literally a dice roll for me, though.
Wiggins,
I wouldn't
Jalen.
be shocked if any of these dudes crash.
Yeah, Wiggins, Jalen with a Y, Isaiah Joe, Case and
I
Wallace
like
for me is
Isaiah
how I
Joe the
rank 'em.
least for sure, but he's also the cheapest. So
Yeah.
who was the guy 3,200 on the other? I can't play whoever that was. I can't play Isaiah Joe.
Josh Green. Josh
Yeah,
Green.
like I can't. I
Yeah.
just can't play Isaiah Joe over him. But he could easily get hot though. You just never know with OKC.
Yep. So Lou Dort, Derrick Jones Jr. right around like the same price, Tony. We didn't really talk
want either
about
one of them. If
Me
I
neither.
landed on them, you get minutes, but I don't really want them. I mean,
I
would
hate the
play
guys that are
perfect
going up
example,
against like the best offensive players, Tony. I hate the guys that have to
Yeah.
like deal with Luka, or on the other side, he's got to deal. Derrick Jones has to deal with SGA or Jalen Williams, and then he's got to go play offense. You know, I just hate those guys.
It's just tough. I mean, so a good example for me though is like, say you can play Dort or Wiggins with the 800 difference. I'm still playing Dort over Wiggins. You probably would go the other way, even if you could. Like, I can't physically click Wiggins with the minutes and the role he has over Dort, even though Wiggins is a better player to me, just because of the time on the floor. We've always kind of disagreed about this point. I agree with what you're saying. I'm taking the minutes, but that's still 800 difference though too. I'm just saying in the optimizer in SaberSim, like right now I got him 21 and 20. I still and that's strictly where I want it because I like Wiggins more. But if I can fit either one of them, I want Dort over him. And I don't like it. I like Wiggins more. I think Wiggins is a better play. But if it comes down to it on that team, I'm not playing Wiggins over Dort or Derrick Jones for that
It's
matter.
because you know Lou Dort's role though, and you know if he's not in foul trouble, the role doesn't change, right?
Yeah.
So in the playoffs, it's easy to predict certain guys' role on each team, and then there's some guys on every team where you're like, well, it's tough to predict because he could play 23 minutes or 12, and you know what I mean. He could take 2 shots or 0.
So Nico says, do you think they send Giddey, Jalen? I mean, it's basically what they did last game. Giddey got benched. Giddey can always get benched because OKC outside of these 4, which is these 3 studs and Dort on defense, these 4 are going to play. Then you got hot hand with literally the rest of those guys. So I mean, you can't play Giddey really at 5,700. And I say that knowing he could also have a game where he goes for 40 if the right things break his way. I don't think it's really a Giddey series, though, just because I just don't see how he fits in with the way he plays and the role like you're talking about. I think guys like Wiggins and even these guys down here, Jalen, Kaysen, I mean, especially I always love Jalen. He's like my version of Wiggins. I have always liked this guy, even at Arkansas. I like the way he plays. He's a big body. He can stretch the floor. He can defend. He can rebound. He's just a good freaking player. So for me, yes, I think Giddey will get played off the floor. So that'd be my answer. Do you agree with that or no?
I agree with you. I will say, like, instead of playing Josh Giddey, just bet if you like him for some reason, just bet his over on like threes or points because they're going to let him shoot. Like, and when I saw that first, I think it was his first 3-point attempt, Tony, where he stood there and in second and third guessed himself for like literally 5 seconds and everyone was just staring at him. And he was just hoping someone would like run up and guard him and they didn't. And then he took the 3 and he missed the entire rim. Do you remember that, Tony, where he took that 3?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
and it was
then
maybe
there,
the worst shot I've ever seen.
Well, right then and there, as a basketball player, your confidence is shot. When that happens and you see that ball go past the rim after contemplating it and no one's coming at you, that's when you know your confidence is shot. But they're going to give him that shot all series. So just bet him over like his 3-point prop and hope he makes 1 3. or 2 threes or something like that. Because, if he doesn't shoot those, guess what? He's coming out of the game. And Isaiah Joe's coming in. You know what I mean? Someone who's going to shoot them will come in because you can't just not take those open threes. It's the NBA. If you get layups or open threes, you got to be able to shoot them to keep the defense honest. And if he's not willing to, then they'll go, and maybe they'll go sooner, Tony. Who knows? I mean, it was a pretty quick,
I think they could
pull.
go quicker for sure, especially because you
Yeah.
got to think Dallas is going to come out with a little fire tonight, I would assume. So I could see them pulling the trigger quicker.
Definitely. So, yeah, we're lower on Giddey. And
it's a really tough price tag too, just to be honest. I mean, a lot of these guys look too cheap. I mean, these guys look cheap. 5,700 that's a tough price tag for Giddey. He's the same price as PJ. Like I can't play him over PJ.
I will just say one thing about the Thunder though. Like, I gotta play SGA or Jalen Williams on all my teams. Like,
have to.
Those are the two guys that I
still
want.
think it's two of those three guys, honestly. Like,
yeah,
I have to, and you've said it a lot during the playoffs. You got to play two of those three, if not all three. I feel like most games, two of those guys crush.
Yeah, I think the only way that Chet and Jalen one of them doesn't crush with SGA is kind of what happened last game, right, Tony? Where SGA he goes off, right? He gets you like that 60.
Solid though. Chet still got like 40. He was still probably in the winner or close to the winner.
Or close to the winner. Yeah, you're right.
And even Jalen had a terrible game, got hurt, and he still was close to the winner.
How did he have 34 fantasy points? Like, I swear to you.
How did Brunson almost get 50 yesterday is a better question.
Well, that I still, at least Brunson though,
the full quarter.
Bro, at least Brunson though, he plays 3 quarters with the ball in his hands. Literally, he is just the guy.
Knicks be on every slate because they just literally are the easiest team in the world. You just jam them in there.
And then OG got hurt too, which is another thing we didn't talk about. But the OG injury is huge for this Knicks team. Like that, those are the injuries. When you're the Knicks, you can't really have injuries like they're already thin. No Randall. Mitch Rob's banged up. You can't have more injuries. That's another thing that's going to be dicey for the Knicks. But just hopefully OG's okay. It looked bad to me, that injury.
I mean, definitely with them up 2-0, I would be legitimately stunned if he played the next game or two.
I don't think
he's playing is if he's just not as hurt as it looked. That's the only.
I don't think he plays till game 7, if there's a game 7. Like, I literally think
thing for them though is they do have a 2-0 lead, so they got some buffer room. You got 1 or 2 free roll games where, I mean, if you steal one of those games in Indiana, Indiana is drawing very thin. And again, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but man, what was Indiana doing? Our boy the 2 easiest plays the first 2 games, TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin, crushed. And then they don't play the whole end of the game.
There's a reason why I didn't bring this up, because I didn't want to get into this conversation right now, because what the fuck is TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin not doing in the game during crucial moments? They were the 2 best besides Tyrese Haliburton, who actually played well, right? Tyrese Haliburton was good. We can't throw anything bad about him in that game. Those 2 guys needed to be on the floor. I don't know what the hell Carlisle was thinking, not putting those, or what they were thinking, putting those guys on the floor. And what the hell is Carlisle talking about, making excuses about being a small market team? And his players had to take the high road and tell people, we just got to play better, instead of taking the low road and saying, oh, well, we're a small market team and, we don't get the calls. Shut up. Like, I couldn't believe that he was the guy who said that. And his players were like, I don't know what coach is doing saying that. We got to play better. Like, that's what the coach is supposed to say.
Oh, every time I see this, I think Phil Jackson. Like, they're trying to get calls in games 3 and 4. They're posturing. He's being the guy that wants to do whatever. He's looking whiny. We both think he's whiny for it, but it's what Phil Jackson did. It's just posturing. He wants calls in games 3 and 4. He's not doing it because, I mean, what'd they say? He protested 80 calls or whatever. He's freaking. He's not doing it for the past. He's doing it for the future.
Well, they are going to Indiana now, so they should get a little bit of a nicer whistle, I would assume.
And I was on the Knicks both games. They got a really good whistle. I'll be the first to be honest. I mean, they got a lot of calls go their way.
Yo, and I bet the Knicks too, and I like the Knicks. I will just say there is no fucking way the NBA doesn't want the Knicks to go further in the playoffs.
Oh,
Like
we all do.
the
I know I
Knicks,
do. Let
yeah,
them stay
no,
in there.
I do too. But I'm just saying, like the
Yeah.
NBA wants the Knicks so bad, and I hope they get there. I'm
Yeah.
literally rooting for them to get there.
The
But I'm
Garden
just
is
saying,
the Garden is just on a different level when these
it's
games get
electric.
like that.
Yeah, it's definitely electric. But
The beat
all
should
right.
hope we get a better whistle games 3 and 4.
That would actually be that would be the great nail in the coffin if the Knicks somehow just got this amazing whistle in
Oh,
Indiana
God. Just
and
stick the
everyone just
dagger
went
in.
nuts. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be fine with it. I bet the Knicks, so I don't care. But let's go to Cleveland and Boston here. And you talked about it. You hate this game.
Ugh.
You hate dealing with the Boston squad
It's
against
such a pain in the
Cleveland.
ass dealing with them.
Well, it's a pain in the ass because you know Boston cannot play their best game and still beat this team.
Yeah.
So
I just don't know like how to deal with this. Like these other spots I'm good with where I know how to deal with the Knicks. I know how to deal with the Pacers. I know how to deal with the Nuggets. I just look at this game and I just don't know because if they win by a bunch, you don't get minutes from some of these guys. If it's close, they crush. I do feel like Boston always lets down one game. So like one of these games, like Mitchell, the good part about Cleveland though, so I will contradict myself a little bit here. They don't have a ton of guys that can really kill you, which means like Donnie Mitch, Spida just has to be the guy where, I mean, if they win a game, he's going to have to get 60. So, I mean, what did he was decent in game 1 and got 50.
He got 50, yeah.
And they're down now. I mean, he's got to crush.
And you talked about it. How long did he sat in the fourth quarter to start the fourth quarter, and we were talking about it. We're just like, you can't be down 15 or whatever they were down and sit your best player.
Why can the Knicks play these guys 48 minutes and every other team just thinks they can't? Like, there's no reason when you're down 20, Donovan Mitchell is sitting to start the fourth. Because if you stay down 20, just sit him the last 5 minutes.
And their season's over if they don't win 4 games. Like, dude, your season is over if you don't win. Like, I get you're trying to, like, you know, still keep the minutes somewhat in check, but it's the playoffs.
See you, buddy. You're always negative anyways. I see you all over Twitter. You're always negative. John. See you, buddy. It's good knowing you.
Yeah, no interaction.
Disrespecting the name John.
It's unfortunate, too, because he spells his name correctly with the H. He doesn't spell it Jon. You know what I mean? That's a true John right there. So it's tough.
And Alpha John does spell it Jon, though.
What's up?
Alpha John's Jon.
Who's Alpha John?
Alphas. They get that they're strong enough to get rid of the H.
Oh, that's bullshit. Fuck you, Tony.
He just disrespected your name. You nuthuggers speak. What are you even talking about? We've interacted with the chat. I literally just talked about being there. All we've done is interact with the chat. What are you talking about? It's what we always do.
My nuts, John. Get out of here. Fucking guy. All right. Back to, I don't even know what I was talking about now because
we got another John in there. He said total BS. See, we interact with the chat. There's another John.
See you, Johnny. Oh, that's the bad. Nothing gets me more riled up than when you call a John Johnny. I'll just say that right now. All right. Back to this game here. So I agree with you that if they're winning a game, it's got to be Donnie. Like, it's got to be Donnie. It might even be Donnie and one of Garland or LeVert. Like, they might need 2
LeVert
guys.
hurt my feelings in game 1. Can I come back with LeVert?
He's cheap enough, dude. He's cheap enough. That's good. G-Bud, that's good right there. I like that.
Oh, I'm dying.
John needs a girlfriend. Hey, yeah, you might just need, John might just need a little love. You know what I mean? So might just need a girl. But yeah, either way, I think you can come back with LeVert. He
He
played
hurt my
26.
feelings in game one. He hurt
Dude,
me.
but he played 26 minutes. He didn't shoot a ton. Like he only took 6 shots, but I thought he looked good in the first half. In the second half, he could have ended up playing a little bit more. Like I think he needs to play more in the series too. And they just don't
My
have
only
any other
issue with him,
scorers.
my only issue, like looking through their playoff games, he just doesn't shoot enough. And you just said it. And it's partly because Donovan Mitchell just launches.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he can, like, I want to come back with him, so I want to be talked into it. But I'm just worried that, like, if he shoots 8 times, he's not getting there for us. We need him to shoot 14 times somehow.
I'm married and she loves. That's right. They love the H. That's right, John. Let them know. Love the H. My wife does too. All right. So the Max Struss, you liked him last game, Tony. Could you come back with Max Struss?
The problem with Struss, he's going to have one game this series, and the other games he's going to be awful.
Yes.
So do you play him every game for the one game, or do you just fade him the whole series? And when the one game happens, you just deal with it. I think I've flipped, and I'm just going to deal with the one game where he beats me one game. I'm just going to be okay with it because I didn't love him either. Honestly, I think Cleveland's very easy, and a lot of this depends too if Jared Allen. Do we have any update? Is he still just out?
He didn't go to shoot around. There was no
I just feel like he's
participation in
kind
shoot
of
around.
done. In my head, if he plays, I'll be stunned a little bit. But for me, I think Cleveland's one of the easier teams, at least for me, where I love Donnie. I'm starting to like Garland more and more just because of his role. I feel like he can really get you some upside if he makes shots one game.
Dude, he was bad and almost had 30. And he was bad.
And he's been like that kind of the last few games where he just hasn't been great. And one sneaky guy that I don't hate at this is Tristan. He's a veteran. He's kind of a missionary play too, but I just feel like a veteran. He looked decent to me too when he was in there. Maybe they need someone to bang around a little bit in there. In the price tag, again, 3,200. I'm not saying I'm projecting him for 20 or anything crazy, but I can put him in that same bucket with like the Josh Greens and different things where I don't mind him. I mean, Marcus Morris, you called it last game, looks dead in this series. I don't love him. Okoro is whatever. I put him in the bucket of those, even though he's cheaper, the defensive guys, the Dorts, the Derek Joneses, those type of guys. Like if I land on Okoro, I'm okay. I mean, whatever, especially Showdown. I'm okay playing.
Dude, the funny thing about Okoro though was, and I remember this because he came out hot. And the chat was like, Okoro. JBC loved Okoro. I remember it. I think he scored literally 10 of his 11 points in the first quarter. And he did nothing the rest of the game, like literally nothing. And those are the things that you'll get with Isaac Okoro. And I'm not saying that happens today. Maybe comes out today and, he has a better game, scores you 20 something. But dude, he goes away really fast. Like when the game tightens up. Yeah, early when they're playing, they're playing a little looser, Tony, right? Because the game's not like a little out of hand. But once they get behind, it's guys like Okoro, they start to tighten up a little bit, and then they start to do this, right, Tony? They start to just shimmy back, right? Like, get me away from this basketball. And that's what happens to those type of guys. So you just, you got to know what you're playing. So I never like to play guys like him when they're popular,
I totally agree with him. And I like him, honestly, more Showdown than main slate, just because the cheaper guys in Showdown do more for me, like to get guys like Donnie and some of the Celtics guys in. But honestly, Cleveland's one of the easier teams overall, though. Every single thing is going through Donnie. And another nice thing is like a guy like Evan Mobley at this price tag, I just don't see how you can go to it when you have those OKC guys in the same range, a lot of things that are way better. I'm not saying that I'm fading him in my 150, but another like main team case, there's just no freaking way I'm playing him on a main team at 7,700. I'm just not doing it.
Bean Air posted something in the chat about Karis LeVert. I mean, he said collection of Karis LeVert has a wheel in his head with a collection of random NBA players, anywhere from Michael Jordan to Anthony Bennett. He spins it every possession. I mean, like, at least his wheel spins between Michael Jordan. Like, I mean, yeah, it goes between Anthony Bennett too, but
here's an interesting
I'll
one
take
for
it.
you. Yeah, I like that comparison to Anthony Bennett. This one's
Do you like
interesting, though.
Donnie?
Donovan or Kyrie?
Oh, I think I got to go Donnie just with the volume. Like, I
And
think he's
honestly,
going to
I mean,
shoot a
both.
ton.
Like, both are good plays.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's
But I
going to
got to
shoot a
take
ton.
Donnie over, even though I love Kyrie. He's still, it's the same example we've used all playoffs. Luka is with Kyrie. Donnie, it has Garland. I mean, that to me is enough of a tiebreaker that
I agree. Mobley is beta.
Mobley's
I agree.
like good too, but he's not a good fantasy guy.
Dude, we talked about this. Mobley is literally the guy that I feel like hasn't improved since he's been in the NBA. Like he's just been solid. You know what I mean?
He would
like
be good on every team in the league. He's just not. He just is what he is.
Dude,
he's like an Aaron Gordon type.
Yeah, but he can't be like your third guy or your second guy. He's got to be like the fourth guy on your
Aaron
team.
Gordon. He's the Aaron Gordon type.
Aaron Gordon.
Let's look at
Boston. All right, go to Boston. My favorite play last slate was Derek White. He was really good.
What about Doogie?
I did play Doogie. Yep, I did. I like Doogie. He killed me. The guys who smashed off the bench were Luke Cornett, who
and
I like. Actually, I loved Luke Cornett. You loved Peyton Pritchard. We were kind of right about the Boston guys. We just needed to put our takes together on Luke Cornett and Peyton Pritchard, and we would have been 100% right. Jaylen Brown
price tag got cheaper too, which is nice.
Yeah. So I like those two again. Jaylen Brown, his price tag went up a tiny bit, but he's got a crazy easy matchup if they're keeping Okoro on Tatum and stuff, because he's just going to bully whoever he has when they're on the offensive end. Either he's moving right by Max Struss because he's quicker and stronger and super athletic, or he's shooting over any of those other guys they put on him, like, because they're just too small. So he had a really good matchup, Tony. I wasn't on him. He smashed. What are we doing with Jaylen Brown? Because he's one I'm trying to figure out what I want to do right now with him. I'm leaning towards him over Tatum, but it might just be because I watched it the first game, and maybe that doesn't happen the way it happened in game one.
Yep, and it's interesting to see the price difference for one. They've always been similar. For whatever reason, I just feel like Jalen's been better this year. And people will probably hate that take because Tatum's the better player overall. Just pure eyeball, like for me, I've liked Jalen better this year. And I know that Tatum's better. I'm not saying he's not. So I'm contradicting myself again a little bit, but I like Jalen better. Tatum just hasn't really shown me the ability to like go for upside. So tonight, where you got all these guys we've talked about, Donnie, Kyrie, Luka, all the OKC guys, I have a really hard time clicking Tatum at 9,400. And honestly, Jalen at 8K, I don't love either, but I can at least see him at 8K outscoring those OKC guys that are at high sevens in that range, Mobley, all that range. I could see him like going way above that range, more so than Tatum going way above his range. Which
like
is important.
Brown could get 50, right, Tony? Like easily. Brown can get 50, 100%. Willie is a different.
Let's flip to that just real quick. I know I'm going to segue, but so look at the price tags. Like when you're playing Tatum, you need him to outscore for sure SGA, Donnie, Kyrie, which I would rank him. So we got Luka in his own category. How would you rank these four?
Let's see.
SGA, Tatum, Donnie, Kyrie. Not even I guess you have to factor price a little, but they're similar.
SGA, Donnie. I'm gonna go Kyrie, which is probably contrarian, and then Tatum 4. But
me too. Even if Tatum's still 700 more than Kyrie too. So even if Tatum's a little higher,
he's got to outscore at least 2 of those guys too, right, Tony? Like how you look at it, like he's got to outscore at least 2 of those guys.
Absolutely, he does, and by a decent amount, I think too, because of the price difference. And then you look at the next range where you have Jalen, Mobley. this is the range I was talking about where he could crush this range, and we love Jalen and Chet, but Jalen could outscore these guys by 10 points. I don't really see Tatum outscoring his range by the same difference. So that makes me like Jalen Brown a lot more than Tatum as far as DFS tonight. How do you rank this range, though? Jalen, Mobley, Jalen, Chet.
David agrees with you, too. He said Jalen more consistent. I
I don't
mean,
think his upside's more. I don't think he's
I
a
don't
better
either.
overall
Yeah.
player. But as far as just on their team, I just feel like he's played better.
Yeah, I think Tatum has more. I think he has more like all around basketball game with the offensive side of the ball. But I think Jalen Brown is close enough where you can at least have a a conversation comparison. Like, has he been better? I think it's close enough. I think Tatum's a better playmaker than Jalen. So it's like, but they're close enough to where, you can argue about it. I would rank that range, though. I mean, upside wise, I do think Jalen Brown's probably got some of the highest upside of that range. Is crazy. Like, I want to say Jalen Williams, but
because Chet's more of a safe play. Again, all these
yes.
guys have. Oh, that's why I don't like Mobley, because these guys all have some upside. But Chet, to me, feels like he's going to get 38, 39. I don't necessarily think he's got massive upside. Jalen's similar, and Jalen just has that upside. This Jalen with a Y. How many?
I think both Jalen's are the two in that range that
we
have
just
the
play
most
all the
upside.
Jalen's tonight. Get the other J with a Y in there. Just get them all three.
Yeah, it might just be Jalen night. I mean, there's your show core right there, the Jalen's.
I do like all three of them a little bit. So
I do too. Yeah.
But back to the other question, since we never interact with Chad, even though we always do, the other dude said, where's it at with the guards? Is it up? All right here. All the top dogs are guards. So yeah, Luka, point guard, Shea, point guard, Donnie, point shoot, Kyrie, point shoot. And then Tatum is a forward, though. So that is an important point a little bit, where you can shift the build by playing Tatum up there too. So that is a good counterpoint to what I was saying.
Well, Brown is small forward as well.
Yeah, but that's the next price range, though. I'm talking strictly the studs. All the like top dudes, the top 5, 4 of them are guards, and Tatum is a forward, which that's just a counterpoint where you could play Tatum, hope he gets, and it kind of proves my point differently, where even if like these guys outscore him and the forward sucks or something tonight, you could flip the build and be different by having him in there.
Yeah, and when I ran build, it was giving me a lot of point guard in the util builds. Like I do think I do think double center is viable, because I do like 3 centers on the slate. Like, I think you got Dan Gafford, actually 3 cheap ones too. You got Dan Gafford, you got Lively as the pivot, and you got Luke Cornett, whose price tag went down, who I think is in play again because they don't want to give Al Horford like big run. And I don't think they need to against a team like Cleveland. So I do think you can play double center, but I will say the best builds do seem like they have 4 guards, just looking at it, from running those builds. So yeah, Tony, we're both in agreement, I think, on Drew. Like, we're lower on Drew Holiday. Al Horford, I'm lower on. Like, I want the cheap Celtics, like those 2 cheap Celtics, or Derek White or Brown, I think, are like the 4 Celtics I'm looking at right now. It's like the Brown, White, and then Pritchard, Cornett are like the 4 guys I want to play. Maybe not all together, but those are the 4 Celtics I'm interested in. Is there anyone that you're interested in that's not in that list?
No. Yeah. And I just can't with Drew. I know we talked. I might even like fully pull him out of my player pool, even in anything. I just don't think he shows upside in this spot, unless weird stuff happens where one of these guys rolls an ankle, Derek White gets in foul trouble. I think he needs a lot to happen to get there at that price. So I just can't do it. But I think we totally agree on Boston all the way up and down. These are kind of similar where my numbers will be. Yeah, we talked a lot about Wiggins earlier.
Yeah, we talked about him a little earlier. We both agreed that we like them. We also agree that OKC's bench is one of the toughest to predict game in and game out. So you got to be careful with it. But we both think he's good.
About, though? We just talked about all the best plays are guard.
The reason to play Drew in MME is that guard just isn't a good position over. I disagree with you very much. Guard's not a good position. All the
SGA, Donnie Mitch, Kyrie, those aren't good plays.
Derek White's not a good play. He's been smashing. Like I'm confused. I'm confused.
We have to be misunderstanding him.
We disagree, he said. What? Okay, so Mangone's team, I can just tell you his team that Mangone's going to play Jason Tatum, maybe Evan Mobley, Jaylen Brown. He's going to play all those forwards, Tony, and then figure it out from there with the mid-tier.
Jalen Williams is a projection play. So, he's probably on Jalen Williams right here.
Maybe.
But even he's a point guard if you want to break it down that way. You could put him at point guard too.
I just don't understand how guard's a weak position.
I can't even comprehend what he's saying.
I'm looking at all the other positions and I'm like, man, these positions suck except for guard. It's like center. I said there's 3 centers I like, or 3 or 4, but like, come on, like look at this.
Here's your forwards. I think I broke it down to just forwards. So here's your forwards. Like,
yeah,
Tatum, who we don't love. I mean, he's obviously it's Tatum.
Yeah, he's fine.
I want people to understand, but we don't love him. Jalen, who can play guard. Mobley, we don't love. Jalen can also play guard. Centers. I mean, where's the forwards at? I literally don't understand. Forwards the bad position.
That's what I'm saying.
Where's the good forwards? Where are they?
Mangone's got to be looking at a different slate. Is all I gotta say.
I literally don't understand.
I don't either. I must be missing.
It's like when who was I talking about that day when he derailed the whole show?
Oh my God, he derailed the entire show over nothing too, and he was like 20 minutes behind. Was it?
Well, I don't even know what he was talking about that day.
I can't remember.
Where's the forward? Whatever.
I mean,
no, we don't want you to jump on. We've already been on too long. Do not get on, or else we could finish it up with John and tell him why.
You just called me John. Are you fucking kidding me? Live? You called
show.
me John for the first time, like ever?
The John show.
No, you.
JOHN, baby.
Shout out to all the Johns out there who aren't assholes in the chat. We love all of you. JOHN, Johns. All right, Tony, let's give our favorite play here, and then we'll get out of here. We do got to post our content. Core plays, showdown content we'll have up for tonight's showdown slate too, the late game. So check that out. RPS 15 is the code for 15% off. Hit the like button on the show if you enjoyed it. Big T, what is your favorite play of the day? A little workbench play for the people.
So my favorite, let me look at ownerships here. Let's see if I can find some low own play that I really like. I'm going Kyrie. Hey, 21%. Donnie Mitch, same price range. Studs, same price range. I'm going Kyrie. It's got him 21. I actually think he will be pretty low owned. So I'm going my boy, Uncle Drew Knight.
I like it. Uncle Drew night. I could feel some Uncle Drew tonight. I like that. I'm just going to go with the dude who's just been so consistent, and I can't not play him. That's Derek White. He's just been so damn consistent for this team.
He's in the 20s, too. It's a 2-game slate. That's 2 plays in the 20s.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't not play my guy, Derek White.
Another
he's been
guard,
insane
by the way.
from 3. Yeah, he's been, dude, 8 for 15, 5 for 10, 7 of 12 for 3 the last 3 games. I think those were all without Porzingis, too.
We're putting Donnie Mitch for our show crew, too. We're going 3 guards for you, Travis. 3 guards in our core, baby. Let's go.
All right, that's going to do it. Nail in the coffin. We killed Travis. We buried him. Maybe he'll come back to life like the Undertaker gift. But I don't think so tonight, Mangone. You're done. For Big T, I'm JSU. Let's all run pure tonight and ship some money. Until then, we're out of here. Peace.